Pokemon Go has had the new buddy feature out for a while now, and if you're unaware, if you have a best buddy, so you achieve the max amount of friendship with your buddy, well, they get a special ribbon, and that special ribbon is the equivalent of 2 power-ups. With these 2 special power-ups, you're able to break the ceiling and get to level 41 on that specific Pokemon in Pokemon Go. So while all level 41 Pokemon sound pretty even, if you are aware of breakpoints, you'll be aware that not all best buddies are created equal, and that some best buddies are going to be better than other best buddies. So I decided to take the time to look into all the different raid matchups to find out who the best buddies are. And with that, I have the top 5 best buddy Pokemon in Pokemon Go. Now, there are other Pokemon that are good for best buddies too, and I'll be covering some of them at the end of the video as well. So eyes peeled for that. And before we get into the picks, if you don't know what a breakpoint is, here I have the breakpoint calculator up on GamePress. So you put in your attacker. Here we're using Rhyperior. It's got best friendship, so you have a best friend that's in the raid lobby with you, and we're attacking with Mudslap against Reshiram. And it's sunny weather outside. Clear weather, if you will. And if you look at the output here, you can see that at level 40, you're only doing 26 damage with your Mudslaps. However, at level 41, which is the best buddy level, you'll be doing 1 extra damage with your Mudslap. Think about all the Mudslaps you're dishing out before you reach that Earthquake. That's a lot of damage. But you can only achieve that at level 41. Now, if you're curious about the other levels here, there's no way to reach them right now. They were data mined, but they weren't implemented in the game, causing a lot of confusion for people. So right now they're up for now. GamePress might get rid of them eventually because they're not actually in the game yet. So try to ignore these. As you can imagine, going through each and every single Pokemon with their different attacks against different raid bosses with different weather, that's a very time-consuming process. So I decided to take the time out for you guys and look into it. So here we have my best buddies for raids graphic, and this also serves as the top 5 Pokemon to be your best buddy for raids in Pokemon Go. Now, as far as the buddies that I picked for this, I wanted to pick buddies that were good against raid bosses that haven't been released yet, or against raid bosses that are good for PvP. Go Battle League is coming out very shortly in Pokemon Go, and if you're not aware, in the Master League, Dialga is basically king. And then when it comes to the Ultra League and the Master League, both forms of Giratina are insane. So if these 3 Pokemon were to come back in Pokemon Go, you'd probably want to go extra hard on trying to raid them, so they got included into the mix as well. So number 1 on this list is Rhyperior. Yeah, so Rhyperior with the Mudslap in clear weather gets a best buddy breakpoint against Reshiram, Zekrom, and Dialga. And if you have the Smackdown Rhyperior in partly cloudy weather, you get a best buddy breakpoint against Reshiram. Out of all the Pokemon I looked at, this guy is the only one to get 4. Now, I know you guys are at home thinking, but Ryan Swag, what about Rock Wrecker? Rock Wrecker Rhyperior is due to come out like any day now. It's probably going to be our next Community Day Pokemon, and we're going to want that Rock Wrecker attack on our best buddy, right? Well, maybe. If it's better than Earthquake, you will want it for the Reshiram sets. However, against Zekrom and Dialga, you're going to be using Earthquake. So Mudslap Earthquake, if you already got the Hundo Rhyperior pre-Rock Wrecker, you may as well start walking it, have your best buddy set and ready for those 2 raids. However, with the looming Rock Wrecker, yeah, Reshiram, you may want to hold out for the Rock Wrecker. And I'm back, now that I'm not occluding the part of the graphic I'm talking about. So number 2 on this list, we have the one and only Rayquaza. So like Rhyperior, Rayquaza is getting an extra special best buddy breakpoint against Reshiram and Zekrom. So the main difference between Rayquaza and Rhyperior here is that Rayquaza is already one of the top damage dealing Pokemon for these 2 raids. So you're taking your best damage dealer and you're taking that damage to the next level. On top of that, Rayquaza is not held back by the weather. So any form of weather, Rayquaza is going to be going ham on these 2 particular raid bosses. Conversely, Rayquaza also takes super effective damage from these 2 raid bosses when they're doing dragon type attacks. Rhyperior has no fear. And then when it comes to the Zekrom, Rhyperior also has resistance to those attacks. So pick them as you'd like. If you'd like a more tanky Pokemon to dish out extra super good damage, well then go with the Rhyperior. And if you just want the best damage, dealing the even bestest damage, well then that's where Rayquaza comes in. Oh yeah, and for those of you at home who saw my Latios raid video, yeah, he also gets a breakpoint on Latios. However, I can't predict when Niantic is going to bring Latios back into the raid pool, so definitely not featured on this graphic here. These Pokemon are going to come out inevitably. Reruns come out whenever the wind blows that way, so yeah. Number 3 on the list is Terrakion. Now Terrakion gets a Best Buddy breakpoint on Tornadus and Thundurus, the incarnate forms. Just like how Giratina has an altered form and an origin form, the genies here, the Landorus, Thundurus, and Landorus here, they have Therian forms. So you can actually see the Therian form of Tornadus down here, right? So yeah, they got 2 forms. But against the incarnate forms here, yeah, Terrakion getting the extra special Best Buddy breakpoint. So another rock-type attacker to get walking. Then number 4 on the list here is Gengar. Gengar with the Shadow Claw specifically. So Hundo, Shadow Claw, Gengars, rejoice. And yeah, Gengar here is getting a breakpoint on both forms of Giratina. So if Giratina were to come back and you wanted to break it down with the lowest amount of people possible, well, Shadow Claw Gengar getting this breakpoint can help you achieve that. These 2 Pokemon are extremely important for Ultra League and Master League PvP, so if you get good versions of them for the Ultra and Master League, then that can help you out in the Go Battle League. And they're also excellent Pokemon for Rocket Battles on top of that, so plenty of reasons to prepare for both the Giratinas here. I mean, it's Gengar, man, so he's going to be your best buddy eventually anyways, right? We all love Gengar here, right? And then number 5 on our list is Rampardos. Man, what is with these rock-type attackers getting the extra special Best Buddy breakpoints in Pokemon Go? I mean, as far as the pool that I went with for this, it was Fire and Flying-type Pokemon, heavily dominated by Flying-type Pokemon, and then I also had Ice-type Pokemon here in it, so I guess if anything were to show up, it would be the rock-type attackers, but I don't know, a little ridiculous. 3 different flavors of rock. And they all have different good matchups too, so it's like variety hour, am I right? At any rate, Rampardos here. Rampardos has an extra special Best Buddy breakpoint against the Tornadus Therian form and the Kyurem base form. Kyurem also has a black and white form that's different than the base form, so yeah, this is the base form here. And these breakpoints are only achieved in partly cloudy weather. So partly cloudy outside, boosting the rock damage, allowing it to hit an even higher tier of damage. So Rock Wrecker Rhyperior, you're coming in, you think you're going to be the best rock type attacker in the game, you're going to usurp the Rampardos. Well, Rampardos is going to take it to the next level against these 2 specific raid bosses, so just you watch out, Drill Boy. At any rate, these are the top 5 Pokemon to have for your best buddy for the future raids. So if you haven't been walking with these guys already, maybe it's time to get stepping. Now, of course, these aren't the only Pokemon to get Best Buddy breakpoints for these raids, and I do have a couple others mapped out. The reason why they didn't make the graphic was because they only did good in one raid or another, right? So Landorus Therian form, we have Ice Shard Weavile getting a Best Buddy breakpoint. So Weavile stands out a little bit here because it is the only Pokemon to get a Best Buddy breakpoint against Landorus Therian form. And with that, Weavile's damage is going to explode. So if you're a Weavile lover, you got the 15 attack IV Weavile, maybe it's time to get stepping. Make him your best buddy before we get to the Landorus Therian form. Against the Tornadus, we already have Terrakion getting the Best Buddy breakpoint in that raid, but Magnezone with the Spark also gets a Best Buddy breakpoint. And then against the Therian form of Tornadus, Raikou in the rain on the Thundershock gets a Best Buddy breakpoint. Now, if you're curious about Volt Switch Raikou, Volt Switch recently got buffed, making it an actually good move. Well, Volt Switch is still worse than Thundershock. So even though Volt Switch is no longer bad, Thundershock is still better than Volt Switch on Raikou and any other Pokemon that have both moves. Against Kyurem base form, Metagross's Bullet Punch does some extra damage, so if you got that maxed out Hundo Meteor Mash Metagross, this will be a time for it to shine. No need for a weather boost here. And then against Kyurem Black and White and Dialga, Machamp gets a Best Buddy breakpoint on its counter damage. Now, funny thing with the Machamp breakpoint here is that it takes its counter damage from 16 to 17, but Conkeldurr is already dealing 17 damage with its counter damage without a Best Buddy breakpoint. So yeah, no reason to really highlight this guy too much because with the Best Buddy breakpoint, it's only getting on the level of a Conkeldurr, which is kind of sad, kind of funny at the same time. Sorry, Machamp, but if you love your Machamp, and you want to keep using it to an optimal level. Well, hey, against Dialga, Lucario with a weather boost gets a breakpoint, so if it's cloudy outside by you, most often, Lucario will be taken to the next level. And then also Groudon gets a clear weather breakpoint. And the thing that's crazy about Groudon with this breakpoint is that it's Mud Shot. Mud Shot is a super spammy attack, so you're hitting out tons of Mud Shots compared to the Mud Slaps that you're just wafting at your opponent. So I expect Groudon's damage to just explode against Dialga when it's in the clear weather there. So definitely something to keep your eye out for. And then against Giratina Origin Form, Salamence gets a breakpoint and Chandelure gets a breakpoint, so Salamence could easily become the best DPS in this particular raid, and Chandelure is already like one of the better Ghost-type Pokemon, and this breakpoint could take it to the next level. If Giratina Origin Form does come back, I'm going to be very curious to graph out that raid and see which one of these two ghosts ends up being the best ghost. And then, yeah, that's it. Now, if you're curious about the yellow ones that I have highlighted, these are like constellation breakpoints. For example, Glaceon here. If Glaceon were to be against Landora's incarnate form and you didn't have the 15 attack IV, you would not be able to get the level 40 breakpoint. I think it gets its breakpoint at like level 39 or something like that. However, if you have the best buddy Glaceon, then your 13 attack IV or higher Glaceon could be as good as a 15 attack IV Glaceon. So I mapped out some of those here and there throughout the thing. I didn't specifically look for these, so there may be a bunch that I overlooked because I wasn't specifically looking for it. But if I did see them, I decided to highlight them down here. Big ones are on the Tyranitars. I don't know about you guys, but I got a lot of bad IV Tyranitars that I have basically maxed out. So yeah, I may want to start walking my Tyranitars here to help fix their IVs a little bit, to take Tyranitar on an okay level for these raids. And if you are curious about other Pokemon and their breakpoints or other raid bosses, maybe tier 4 raid bosses, tier 3 raid bosses, well, you can always check out the breakpoint calculator on GamePress. If you guys have any hot finds, comment below, let me know what they are, and I'll write them down, and maybe I'll do a tier 3 or tier 4 list in the future. And there you have it, best buddy breakpoints. Yeah, so if you're curious about who you should be walking for the future raid bosses now for later, well, now you know. If you got any questions on this content, comment below, let me know what's up, and I'll be happy to help you out. And if you enjoyed this content, you want to see more like it, well hey, make sure to subscribe to SwagTips. And I bet there's some of you at home wondering, what about PvP, Ryan? What about PvP? Well, for the Great League, the only two Pokemon that truly seem to benefit are Medicham and Sableye, and between them, Open Great League, you're probably not really going to be using either of them anyways, so walk whichever one you want to, man. For the Ultra League, I haven't really looked at best buddy breakpoints there. I know that Registeel is pretty big for that league, and it caps well before the 2500, so maybe walk that guy. But there could be other picks as well that are great for the Ultra League there. Haven't looked at it. And then as far as the Master League goes, I'm about 1/3 of the way done with the research that I want to do for that. And right now, all signs point to Dialga being the best buddy for the Master League. So it gets a breakpoint on itself, allowing it to best beat that one particular matchup. And it gets a breakpoint on Garchomp too, allowing it to just smoke it. But I don't want to go out with PvP information for this just yet until I've got the Ultra League settled and the Master League settled. So you'll have to wait on that. But for now, hey, now you know what I know.